Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name's John. Today is day 13 of my 2-month Fasted-Thenics challenge. Let me start with the numbers. Today I weigh 200.2 pounds, blood pressure 120/77, blood glucose was 75 milligrams per deciliter, and ketones were at 5.9 millimoles per liter. So that all continues to look good. I wanted to keep these videos short. In general, there are going to be times where I end up kind of rambling on for an extended period of time. I'll do more of that in future videos after this series, but I think from here going forward, we're basically just doing a daily update with the numbers and kind of capturing my face. I'm also taking morning pictures every day in 3 different angles, and I took some. I'm going to be continuing to take a few close-up selfies in a better lit part of the house. And then I took some videos near the back sliding glass door towards the beginning of this with my shirt off and just kind of played around with my midsection so that you could kind of see how much excess fuel I'm storing down there. In order to fuel up, I'm sure I consumed at least 1 donut. So, as far as this video goes, I thought there might be some people out there interested in the exact loss per day. It's not going to be an exact straight line with the plot points on the graph, but over time it should be pretty much a straight line. There's going to be some variances as far as how often I need to sit on the toilet. So because of that, there might be some slight hiccups here and there, but for the most part, it's going to be a straight line. So last year, during my 61.5 day fast, the average weight loss, I eliminated the first 5 days of that fast because I was finishing up a landscaping project and I was spending a considerable amount of time outside, 10, sometimes 12-hour days in almost 100-degree weather, basically installing landscape block as an edging in front of the house. So difficult task, pretty strenuous, and it was extremely hot. So I was throwing off a lot of weight in the form of water mostly. And I'm sure I eliminated quite a bit of electrolytes during that period, which I may have been able to extend the water-only portion of the fast. But just quickly, on day 25, which was going to be the midway point, I had lab work done. Those results pretty much pushed me to start consuming a bone broth and an electrolyte supplement to bring up those electrolytes. So anyway, as far as that fast, dropping off the first 5 days and going until I began consuming bone broth, the average weight loss per day was 1.2 pounds. And this was with 0 exercise, no walking, no body weight exercises, just working at the desk. So very minimal activity level period. And I was only consuming water, and yet I was still losing 1.2 pounds per day. This fast, I'm dropping off the first day because the first day I think I dropped almost 5 pounds, and basically, during the beginning of a fast, you're emptying out your digestive system. So dropping off that first day and then averaging the other 12 days, I am right at 0.8 pounds per day. So you can see the difference there. Per day, I'm consuming about 500 calories, 4 cups of a bone broth, very low calorie, hardly any carbs. There is a considerable amount of protein. I think it's 7 grams of protein per cup, and then there's a protein shake that I'm taking. And the daily recommended value on that is 2 scoops out of the container. It is a 0 carb protein shake, and I'm adding 2 raw eggs to that mixture. The purpose of that mainly, because the bone broth takes care of most of the electrolytes. So the main purpose of the protein shake is to supplement my diet in such a way that I'm able to try and maintain my muscle mass. So hopefully that works out. This is kind of an experiment on myself. This is not a series of videos which is encouraging anyone to do anything like this. Obviously, if you choose to come up with some experiment like this, you should consult your doctor, and you should take into consideration your health and the shape of your body as it is now. So I think that's pretty much all I have for you today. Tomorrow is actually going to be the end of the second week, so 2 weeks of no food, and still feeling really good. I haven't felt that kind of drained sensation since the 3rd or 4th day of the first week. And as far as the exercises go, I'm still not doing the lunges. I have just been skipping those, and I'll do that through the end of tomorrow, and then the beginning of the 3rd week, I'll begin the lunges again. I don't think it really makes that much of a difference as far as the use of the calories, but I wanted to give my knees a chance to kind of get over the little bit of pain that I was experiencing there, and hopefully they healed up, and we'll see how that feels in a couple of days. Everything else is going pretty well. I've noticed, the first day, the first set of push-ups, it's only 15 push-ups, but being right at 200 pounds, 200 push-ups for someone that has a sedentary job and hardly ever works out, that's a pretty decent challenge to do that 4 times in a day. It was very easy the first day, and it's slowly become a little more difficult over time. So today, I'm really feeling the burn on that 15th push-up. I could probably slow down, and I could probably take a little bit more rest in between those exercises, but I'm trying to get to a rhythm where I can keep it, kind of consistent. So anyway, nothing to complain about, nothing really of note. My sleep is kind of dropped back to my normal range, which is about 7.5 hours per night, and that's kind of leveling off here lately. Last summer, my sleep actually dropped down to where I was only sleeping about 6.5 hours a night. I generally don't use an alarm clock to wake up. I just try to get to bed by a certain time, and I just wake up naturally. So anyway, I'm trying to think if there's something else that I'm forgetting. I'm just trying to give you an idea or document, the way I feel, and some of the things that people might be curious about. One, and this is a little on the more, kind of, I guess, disgusting note, but scientifically, the first couple of days, I am, going to the bathroom first thing in the morning, just like normal. The next 3 or 4 days, I'm only consuming a liquid, it took my system a little bit of time to get used to that. It wasn't the normal, solid consistency that it normally is. And then the last 3 days, I have not sat on the toilet until this afternoon. So, my system's kind of gotten used to what it's doing with those calories that are coming in, even though they're, just liquids. I'm sure there's things to filter out and all that kind of stuff. But what I noticed last year during the fast, the first 4 weeks, I only drank water, and I basically, after the 4th day, I didn't have to sit on the toilet for over a month. It wasn't until about 2 weeks into consuming the bone broth that I actually had to go relieve myself. I know it's kind of an unusual topic, but I'm sure people are out there are curious about it, and if you've done any kind of fasting in this direction at all, I'm sure you've experienced something similar. But people that have never done it before, first off, there's this big hurdle of like, you can't go that long without food, you're going to die, you're going to starve yourself to death, it's not good for you, and all this kind of thing. But the other thing is just not ever getting past that barrier and not knowing what it's like on the other side. I'm just a guy. I'm just doing this experiment on myself. I did 61 and a half days last summer without any food. I am already 2 weeks into this one, no food. And I'm not experiencing any issues. I am doing body weight exercises during this. I don't feel any loss of energy at all. The main thing that I experience right now, normally in keto, I can jog, I can run, I can do 5Ks. It's something that I've taken in spurts and kind of trained and then went and run the 5K, and then I kind of come off of that workout regimen. But the idea that you can't do things because you're not eating, that's far from the truth. Now, one reality of being in a fasted state like this is a bit extreme. Nobody would, be training for a marathon and this be part of, the last few months leading up to it. You can do things, but you deplete your muscles of their energy stores pretty quickly, but they also rebound pretty quickly. So I've talked about that before, but and I'm sure I'll talk about it again. But basically, for example, one of the long bike rides that I did last year, I would just have to stand up on the pedals, get going up to a speed, sit down on the seat, coast, and then just kind of alternate that back and forth as my body just kind of got used to, running the gas tank out, slowly putting some gas back in there, me running the gas tank out, over and over again. So anyway, I know I started this by saying that I would keep this, I really need to keep these daily videos short, and that's for a number of reasons, but primarily because I know if it were me out there, I would find them boring. So I don't expect to get a huge amount of views, but it's basically a documentation of the entire fasting challenge. That's mostly for me. There are going to be some people in the future that are going to go back and reference this, and they might be able to glean some information from that. And if there are some that are really geeky and they really want to see what some of the numbers are, feel free to reach out to me. I've got spreadsheets. I'm keeping track of so many things. Blood pressure, blood glucose, blood ketones. I take my blood. I already said blood pressure. I've got a body weight composition scale. I was taking my temperature in the mornings, but I don't find that very useful. It really didn't fluctuate that much. So I dropped that. I'm not doing that any longer. I do kind of keep track of a few other things that are not really related to the challenge, but are just like personal goals of mine. I keep up with a set number of podcasts. So I consume the podcast while I'm doing the workouts. I consume Audible books while I am on the treadmill. And then I try to research certain topics and create playlists for me to consume on YouTube, for certain topics. So it's a lot of consumption. It's definitely a challenge to keep up with all that's out there and keep up with life at the same time. And I'm making these videos, and it is kind of a blessing in a way that I am saving a tremendous amount of time by not having to go to the grocery store like I usually go once a week and buy food that roughly lasts for a week. There's usually meal prep, whether it's like creating food to consume over a few days or creating daily meals or just, you know, one thing that I do on a fairly regular basis, I'd say 50% of the time outside of fasting, I consume a kale smoothie that I just mix a lot of different vegetables into the blender with some seeds and whatnot, and I consume that on a daily basis. You know, all of those things just gave me like an hour and a half of time every day, at least. And goodness, if I add the fact that I am not having to sit on the toilet, you know, 1 or 2 times a day, you're probably talking, goodness, grocery store, meal prep, the actual sitting down and eating. I didn't even list that one. Sitting down and eating or going out to eat. I mean, going out to eat could be minimum an hour. You throw in travel time and you're having a meal with some other people, you're talking two plus hours sitting somewhere. Goodness, it's a tremendous time saver. Now, one thing that I am kind of learning, and yeah, I know many of these things already because I've already gone through it, but the socialization, or not socialization, the social aspect of consuming food with other people it's not something I ever thought about before, but it's definitely something that I miss right now. It removes a very positive part of my life. It just eliminates it altogether. Now, I try to sit while other people are eating, but it's weird. If you go out to the restaurant, I really have no choice. And the people that we eat with generally are used to it already. But at the beginning, it was uncomfortable to have someone sitting there not eating while everyone else is like oohing and eyeing and consuming, you know, delicious food. It's definitely uncomfortable. So, but you know, around the house, what it's gotten to is my wife, for one, generally is eating not when I'm around. You know, either outside of the house or she eats here. She doesn't even go and, you know, grab me for dinner time because she knows I'm not eating anyway, so why not just go ahead and scarf something? So she does. And I, you know, by no means am I saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that I'm missing that aspect of it. Obviously, I'm not hungry. I'm not feeling hunger pangs, but I am missing the physical pleasure, mouth pleasure of consuming food. The second part is I'm missing the social aspect of sharing meals with other people. The pros, obviously, the fasting, the pros of fasting are on that side, and then the only other pro that I can think of outside of that would be I am just gaining a tremendous amount of time to get more done. So I'm using that to do these videos. Obviously, I'm not very skilled at it. I many times have to start the video over again, sometimes multiple times. I'll just mess up and just feel kind of stupid and then just stop it and start it again. I am just using a phone at this point, and I'm not doing much editing. I'm just putting kind of an intro on it, and I'm just clipping the front and the back of the video and then generating the video that way. So no frills really, but I don't think these videos require that. I'm just basically, like I said, documenting the experience of an average guy. I'll be 50 this month, basically going without food for an extended period of time, and I am consuming very minimal calories in the form of liquids Bone Broth, protein shake, and I'm doing body weight exercises. And we're just gonna see what that looks like over, I think at this point I've decided I'm heavily leaning towards day 64 being the end of this fast. So I'm trying to work out ideas for that final video. It'll be the first day. Day 64 would be the first day of a very big vacation trip that we've kind of been, hoping to do forever, and we're finally making it happen this year. So there's going to be a lot of distractions, and I have no idea how much time we're going to have for this and that, and the logistics of traveling around the islands of Hawaii and trying to just enjoy the scenery. We're going to do some hiking, we're going to do some snorkeling, we're going to get some tours just like tourists do. We're going to try and consume some food that is local to Hawaii. And one thing that I would like from you guys, obviously if you've got any comments or questions regarding fasting in general or having to do with what I'm doing, I'd be happy to answer those. I'm trying to do that, kind of rambling on, but if you reach out to me, I'll get back to you with an answer as quickly as I can. But outside of that, you're obviously welcome to leave those in the comment section below. But what I'd really like is some ideas for two different things. One, being this challenge is going on for over 2 months, I would like to change one variable at the beginning of, say, the 5th week. So basically after one whole month, I'm going to keep that perfectly consistent, and I'm going to keep the second month identical except for one variable that I would like to change. And I would like that to be something that's going to be kind of revealing. And so considering what I am doing, my age, the fact that I'm generally sedentary, I do have spurts of activity throughout. I kind of make myself I give myself these challenges like a 5K every so often, or we'll go hike a huge mountain or whatever. It's sporadic though. It's not very consistent. There's not like a daily regimented exercise routine. So part of this challenge has, as a side note, is a way for me to kind of build that in as a habit, and hopefully I can stick to something on a daily basis even after this fast. Maybe not the whole gambit of the exercises that I'm doing now, but at least some of those. But basically, I would like to change something starting the second month, or we probably, let's see, we're going 9 weeks. If I make it to the end and there are no health implications and I don't have to stop it prematurely. Last year I went 61 and a half days, so I don't anticipate having to stop, but you never know. So there's always that possibility. But outside of that, I'm thinking go 4 weeks the way I'm going now, and then I'll change one thing beginning on week 5. And I'd like some feedback on that. If you guys have any kind of ideas for that, please let me know below. You can reach out to my email, but comments in the video would be great. The second thing that I'd like some feedback on, or suggestions, would be that final the end of the fast, breaking the fast, that very first breakfast. It's not going to be breakfast time. It's going to be a late afternoon, early evening, most likely late afternoon. I want it to be something great, right? Last year, just to kind of go into that a little bit, last year I was a little concerned. I had read a few articles, and there's lots of articles out there written by people that have never long fasted before, not longer than 7 days, or 7 days is usually the longest most people go. Then there's a tiny percentage of people that go after that, maybe 14 or something, and an even tinier percentage to 30. Hardly anybody's going 2 months. There are people out there that have done it. Obviously, there's that one that was medically supervised, and it gets referenced quite a bit. There's an article. I need to go back and find that. But anyway, I was a little hesitant about what to eat on that first meal and how much I could eat and how that would affect my digestive system, having not truly functioned for that extended period of time. I think I'm, at the end of this, I'm going to be at a very similar place. So my digestive system won't be completely cut off like it is when you're just straight water fasting. There is the bone broth and the protein shake that you're having to digest, but it's very, very minimal. We're talking about sitting down on the toilet maybe once every 4 or 5 days. And even at that, it's very, very minimal. So what I did last year was we went to a small town diner, and I basically had a normal breakfast, and it was all keto. A cup of coffee, some scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage, and a piece of ham. And that was it. I ate it all. It's generally what most people would consider a big breakfast. I would say, a minimal breakfast would be 2 eggs, a couple pieces of bacon, and maybe a piece of sausage. So this is probably like twice that. It was probably 3 eggs. I think it was six strips of bacon, piece of ham, and 1 piece of sausage. So quite a bit of food. I could have eaten more, but I had 0 issues with that. I didn't have to run off to the bathroom immediately. And then at lunch, in order to do I wanted to do a glucose tolerance test a few times after the fast had completed, to see how much better my body was handling blood sugar, how quickly it was managing that. So I ate, I believe, 3 Krispy Kreme donuts for lunch. I took blood readings before I ate, then I ate them. Then I took blood readings every 30 minutes for about 3 hours after that. And it dropped back to normal pretty quickly. I intend to do something similar to that this time, but back to the subject at hand. So I don't have any fears about, eating a normal meal to break the fast. As a matter of fact, I think it probably took me like 2 days before I needed to go to sit on the toilet last time. So I basically ate breakfast, lunch, dinner. The first day, I probably didn't eat breakfast the next day, but lunch and dinner, and then I had to go. That is way out of normal for me. I'm like clockwork every morning. That's what happens. So to go 2 days, I didn't even start to feel even uncomfortable until after dinner the second day. So I don't think it was an issue with, there wasn't any pain, there wasn't any issues with, there just wasn't any issues. It was just like, it was extremely slowed down. So I know that this time, having done 1 week fast in the past, I had done things like just eating a piece, a few pieces of watermelon to break the fast, and then going to bed, and then having breakfast the next day, stuff like that, just to kind of like, slowly, get back into consuming solid food. it had been a suggestion before, and I'm not against having fruit along with that first meal, but all of that to basically say, I would like to end this fast. 50-year-old man goes 64 days without food. This is the first meal he chooses, and he's going to eat it in, somewhere in Honolulu. I would like it to be epic. I don't want it to be like, McDonald's or, something like that. I would like it to be, something traditional to Hawaii. I would like it to be like something awesome that people crave, people that are local, that move away, that's what they crave, that kind of thing, or things that are just iconically either Hawaiian or things that are just known as the top kinds of foods for Waikiki or Honolulu, Oahu. And anyway, so if you've got any suggestions about that, I would certainly appreciate them. I have been looking at Cocoa Puffs from Liluha's Bakery, and I've been looking at malasadas from Leonard's Bakery. I've looked at there's a breakfast plate that they serve at the Rainbow Drive-In, I think it's called. It's a restaurant. I don't think it's a drive-in. I'm not sure, but it's basically, you can get breakfast. I don't know what else they serve there. I haven't done enough research on it, but it's another kind of like known top of the list kind of food. What are some of the other things? Shave ice. Yeah, I don't know if I'd technically, describe that as food. I'm going to get some, but there's got to be other things out there that are typical to Hawaii. Right now, if I had to just I had to pick something and it was going to happen tomorrow, I'd probably go with malasadas. I don't know how many I could eat. I'm actually thinking about bringing, because I love donuts, period, but Krispy Kreme donuts. We've got Dunkin' Donuts all over the place too, but I live in North Carolina, the birthplace of Krispy Kreme donuts, the birthplace of Pepsi. Both things are horrible for you, so thank you to us for creating such horrible things that taste amazing. But they are among my favorite things. I gave up soda long ago, but Krispy Kremes, I still consume those every so often. And I'm thinking about bringing some of those with us on the airplane and maybe doing a little taste test between the two, the malasadas and the Krispy Kreme donuts. And I know it's not 100% fair, but I've had literally thousands of Krispy Kreme donuts over my life, and I know what they taste like even when they're fresh and hot. The sign's on and you go in there, you get it right off the press. Malasadas, not so much. So I can mentally kind of be objective about it and be like, okay, we're not comparing exactly apples to apples right in here, but I know what a Krispy Kreme tastes like. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking about. So I'm leaning in that direction. I know it's horrible, but I will add a little bit of science to it by doing blood sugar and blood ketone readings before, and I'll do them 30 minutes in 30-minute increments after I consume those malasadas and the Krispy Kreme donuts until probably 3 hours after. So anyway, that's that. I have again rambled on long enough. I do appreciate you watching. If you do have comments or suggestions for those two things I asked about, the final video, what food should I break my fast with? 2, if I'm going to make an adjustment at the beginning of the second month, what adjustment should I change? What variable in this kind of experiment should I change for the second month? But any general comments or questions about this fast or anything about fasting in general, if I know the answer, I will find references and I'll get you an answer for that. I appreciate you watching. If you've got any family friends that are interested in fasting or health, anything in this direction, please point them my way. Maybe they don't watch every single video in this series, but they might be able to, pick and choose and find something interesting, and maybe they might be able to help me with some things that I don't know yet. So it'd be great if you give me a like, and we are going to wrap up this video now. So thanks for watching again, and we'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye-bye.